All things speed and sport.
Harvey and Lewis on Vibe Radio.
But I think it was a good race.
It was a good race. I enjoyed it.
Uh,
For a first Le Mans for me, it was a cracker. To be fair,
it was a lot less chaotic as like last year last year it felt like for like the first 8 hours, every like 20 minutes there was an accident.
yeah.
The first time round they lasted half a lap before someone crashed.
There was the monsoon kind of rain the last year. I want there was loads of rain. I swear.
There was rain, but it wasn't as bad as this year. Not enough to cause a safety car overnight. But it was a bit cleaner, I would say.
Yeah,
At least the start of it was a bit cleaner.
Yeah. I sort of starting it like they got through very very well. I'd say they were just kind of
To say there
uniform.
were 23 cars. They
Yeah.
were very. The best part about the first lap for me was watching the Isotta, because the Isotta went from 22nd and it was running like 17th at some point on the first lap, and I was like, "What a start!"
Oh yeah, I mean that was a cracking start with
Isotta's is my beloved. Everyone loves the privateer. It's no Glickenhaus, but the Isotta can fill the void in my heart left by the Glickenhaus.
Isotta has a special spot for good old Lewis Busby.
Indeed, it does. I think it was very impressive to me because last year both Glickenhauses finished and they finished well, but the Glickenhaus was already like a proven, contender. Was like last year you had the Van Wall, which was debatable, and it ended up blowing up after 8 hours. I think it finished like 8 laps down, but it finished 14th as well. Like the fact it finished 14th still, I think, and like well ahead of all the LMP2 is very impressive to me.
Yeah. Oh no, it was quite impressive to be fair. Very impressive.
But how did you see the first few hours?
Well, I mean, like you said, the first few hours, they were quite quiet to be fair. They were all like everyone were kind of keeping to themselves, keeping all, uniform. Not really much. Fair, there wasn't really like much like kicking off big time, was there? I mean, there were a few odd spins here and there.
They all kept there were overtakes.
Yeah, there was some good overtakes going on. So a good few scraps. Tell you what, the LMP2 scraps, I was a big fan of them. There was some decent scraps between LMP2s over it, and that were
LMP2s are goated. They're not like
they are. They're not like
they're not
huge. They're not like huge to the point it's hard to overtake, but not like boring racing either. They can keep it like wheel to wheel for like. I saw it like some of them. I think there was like one scrap later on in the race. It was like between second and third that were like they were wheel to wheel for like nearly 2 laps. Like,
I think it was Cool Racing into Europol.
Yeah, it was.
Into Europol, like I don't know if you heard, but last year they were winners last year, and one of their drivers for the entire race pretty much had a broken foot.
Jeez,
because at the very first pit stop, he got run over by one at Corvettes.
Like you do. Like you do.
Less dramatic this year. The only like big dramatic that was the dramatic funny quotation mark side story. But I think this year was this year was the number 12 Jota car which got rebuilt from scratch.
Yeah, it was
Callum Ilott.
Yeah.
He binned it in qualifying, and
a job that was meant to take like a week, they did in like
3 weeks apparently.
Yeah, 3 weeks they did it in a day.
I won't claim to be a mechanic, but I do think 3 weeks they may have been extending that story a bit.
Yeah, I think it would have only been 3 weeks, in fact, to fully reorder all the parts. But, as soon as they kind of had them there to hand, it was.
Well, they had to rush through it. But I think 3 weeks, it makes good headlines, but
Yeah,
I think they definitely could have had it done
in a week.
within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
No, I'm not going to say that much. I'm not a mechanic.
yeah, that's fair enough. To be fair, I mean, it's a cracking job either way, though, isn't it? It's like
Yes.
to go and just turn it round, and then for it to perform how it did, and for it to go where it
Yeah.
did, it did well.
The other funny, well, it's not really funny, but the other mishap was, well, the first mishap was Proton's door coming loose again, and it happened at Spa as well. And then it happened again, which knocked them down about 5 laps because the
Yeah,
door wouldn't shut. Ironically enough, happened to the Ferrari towards the end of the race.
it did. It did, didn't
These
it?
door manufacturers are not very.
No, same with the bonnet pins on like the Lexus. You see that when that like kind of came
Yeah.
up. I've seen that happening a lot, not just in like Le Mans, but across all like kind of motorsports at the minute, like bonnet
Well,
pins. Bit of an
the
issue.
miracle for me this race was the fact that if you don't know, the Ford Mustangs, the debut in this year.
Yeah, they were very beautiful cars.
Well, they've had an unfortunate habit of the boot lid becoming coming undone. And in like the first 4 races they debuted in, the boot lid kept coming undone.
Why not
Which
just like remove it? Because they don't really need the boot though, do they?
you never know.
It's not as if you're going to go racing and stick like your weekly shopping in the back of it.
Well, that's what they should do for BOP.
Yeah,
For the
true.
balance of performance, they should just put like
A few
a
bags of sugar
weekly
in the back.
Tesco's worth of shopping
Yeah,
and just put it in the boot.
balance it out a bit.
Yeah, and the other big thing, well, the not big thing, but it is big for the championship that I would be remiss to not point out is the Alpines.
I was actually just about to mention
Why
them as well.
why would you, with the Mechachrome engine, an engine notorious for going pop, why would you think it would get you through 24
24
hours?
hours, let alone, well, 12 hours, let alone 24.
It didn't even get that far. They both went after about 6 hours.
Yeah, they said they were both out in the
I
first
will
6
say
hours.
it's a pretty quick engine, but it's all fun and games making something quick. But it's
You've got
when
to
you
last the
finish,
distance.
well, they finish genuinely last in their class. Like
Yeah,
you can't get any more last than where they were.
no, yeah, it's a bit bizarre, really, isn't it? It's like you'd have thought they'd have
They
going to do
had
something that's
pace
going
as
to do
well.
the
That's the thing.
distance.
They had good pace as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did. They had the pace. Yeah,
It's
no idea.
the car was made out of well, the engine is made out of string cheese.
It is. One thing I must say though, the Alex Palou and the Cadillac, he did some stunning pace in that Cadillac. To be fair, didn't he?
Yeah, I
He
think
let a right stint.
in a way, it's a shame that the rain came out because I think they could have, if it stayed um dry towards the end, then it would have been interesting. But I think the rain kind of reset their strategy because they was on like the alternate strategy,
Yeah,
which obviously meant the cycle to the front after every stint and then drop back. But then they had to pit. But I think they could have been in with a shout for a win if they had a bit more luck. But the Cadillac it's finally turned up this year, which is important because the whole season, I think in the manufacturer standings, I think this is the first time they've finished a race. Wait,
yes. That's big.
they got this. No, wait, no. I think that they finished in Imola. Wait, I can check actually. Uh, yeah, they finished in Imola, but before that, yeah, they've had a very poor season up until then. But they kind of like they had good pace all weekend.
They did. To be fair, I was fully convinced that they were on for like a podium, like quite a while. But then, like you said, the rain kind of threw a curveball.
Ruined the plan, I think, as
It
well.
did.
The other Cadillac when it just started leaking oil randomly.
Mm.
The banana boat, the number 7. Shame. Well, number 7, the number 2. Very shame for them.
Number
As
two
well
is
as
the blue one.
it is the blue one.
Yeah, you said the banana
Wait, no,
boat.
it's the yellow one. No, it's
Yeah,
the number 3. I mean, number 3.
yeah.
Get
That's
my
fair.
numbers right eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I will say as well, it is also pretty big for the championship as well. Is that the fact that Alpine and BMW both didn't score a point at all?
Yeah.
It has brought Peugeot, Cadillac, and Lamborghini all into that kind of mid-table tussle.
Tell you what, I'm very underwhelmed. It's like I know it's like it's Lamborghini's first season, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, but still, I'd have thought for a team like Lamborghini, you'd have thought they'd have been kind of up there a bit more, but it's actually quite underwhelming how like poor the car is.
I will disagree because it's a brand new car and they haven't, unlike, like BMW and Alpine, don't really have top class experience. This was their first ever time in the top tier of Le Mans.
Yeah,
And
but
as
still,
well, this is the first time I think across any class they've actually finished a race at Le Mans.
true.
And their race was against Peugeot for most of it. They were the first strategy call early on. They were running quite well. The strategy kind of choosing the right. I think it was choosing the wets early on,
Yeah,
or staying out. It was one of the two that helped them. They did kind of throw that away straight away by just spinning straight away.
yeah, I
But
saw that. That was
they had some time doing well.
yeah. There was heartbreak for
Which
the 83 Corsa though. Like that car was
to be
looking so strong the whole race, and then
for
suddenly,
most of it, I genuinely thought they were a contender to win.
yeah, I didn't. I thought they were
Especially
going to win, and then the car just
especially Kubica
yeah,
at the
Kubica looked
tender age of
raw.
about 38. Only as young as you feel. The Polish
Schwartzman
cyborg.
Schwartzman did well to keep it kind of up there and up front for as long as he did throughout his stint.
They all did. I just felt like Kubica was in the car for
A lot
forever.
longer. Yeah,
But yeah, minus his assassination of the BMW, which is a shame for the because that BMW also showed like proper pace.
yeah, it did. There was
So it's
it
a shame that they got completely
bumped.
just completely destroyed.
Yeah, yes, that was
And the other BMW sabotaged itself as well.
yeah, saw that. It was just silly little mistakes. I think just kind of unravelled the whole race for him. I think
Yeah, but
the
I think
they had
for
the pace to
them
do well.
and Alpine especially, looking at the pace they had today, I wouldn't be surprised if they both managed to pick up a podium before the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's very possible for them.
Yeah, I think Alpine need to focus on their engine, not one that's going to
To,
pop.
to be fair, the Mecha Chrome was only blown up once this year, I think.
Yeah, in ironically the
Spa
longest
qualifying.
race.
No, it blew up at Spa qualifying before Le Mans.
Yeah, true.
That's what I mean. And then
Two races on the
both
trot
of
though,
them
that's
blew up
not
at Le
strong.
Mans.
Two races on the trot and your engine's going pop. I think that's an issue that you need to look at.
It's what they get for running a Mecha Chrome. What they need is they need to get a Gibson engine out of the LMP2s because I will say that is impossible to blow up, minus if you're Decane, which very much had their engine blow up.
Yeah.
But I do think the AF Corsa was a very strong contender to win. Did they ever? They did get. They got the penalty. They had to serve the penalty, didn't they? For the BMW related.
Yeah, they served that penalty. Pretty sure.
But up until then, they were running quite well, and then I think what was it? The electrics.
Uh,
I think it was something electrical that went pop.
yeah, it was. It was the recovery system, something like that, I think.
Yeah. Then for the second year in a row, the IMSA Porsche crashed. Well, the IMSA Porsche DNF'd this time. That was a pretty hefty accident, which was then followed by the wheeling Cadillac like an hour later.
Yeah.
Shouldn't in that same spot. Not as big, and I will ask your opinion on it. It was the race had the longest safety car like altogether out of any Le Mans. I think about nearly 7 hours.
Yeah, well, I think.
Which I mean, I slept through the first one, which so fine with that. The second one, I get why they pulled it out because they see a car upside down, one of the Aston Martins,
Yeah, I saw
just
that.
upside down.
That is a reasonable reason, to kind of to pull out a safety car and go, well,
Yeah, it's just a
slow it
shame it
down.
stayed out so long because everyone decided to just have slow zone worthy accidents under the safety car. Like the 93 putting it in the gravel and the number 3 breaking down. And I'm fairly certain another GT car broke down in that time. I think it was the JMW Motorsports, but I'm not sure. I know that was at the night. One of GT cars broke down as well. So it just
Yeah,
ended up staying out for like 2 hours.
it's like a bit unnecessary. Bit unnecessary. They could have maybe cleared it a bit quicker, and to kind of get sorted so we can get back racing. But
Let's just be glad that this race actually ran for 24 hours as opposed to every other 24-hour race this year.
yeah, it's running for like
The
less.
23 hours and 58 minutes of Daytona. I think the 7.5 hours of the Nürburgring.
Yeah, because I got cancelled because it fogged, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least unlike Spa as well, it ran the right amount of time. I won't complain. I was at Spa, got to see a bit more racing, but the 6 hour turned 7 hour and 47 minutes of Spa.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a normal distance race.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. At least get a race that does what you paid for.
Yeah. I will continue our rundown with. Well, who should I go to now? I will go with one thing. When the most impressive stint of the race for me was the number 50 Ferrari, and doing that 13 lap stint right towards the end,
Yeah,
because that won them the race.
it did.
Like without that stint, the Toyota would have beat them. And the thing I have to note as well is that Lopez's spin cost the Toyota 15 odd seconds. And at the very end of the race, the gap between the Ferrari and the Toyota was 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's
So
close.
that's got to be the second year in a row where Toyota could have won, but due to throw it like spinning and crashing, they've lost the race. Like last year, they could have won if Hirakawa didn't spin into the barrier, because then they would have overtaken the Ferrari when it nearly forgot to start again. And they would have easily been able to overtake the Ferrari if they were there, because Ferrari was just conserving fuel.
It was. One thing. What was I going to say now? I have completely lost my train of thought.
Or try and regather it. But this is putting a. I think he's putting a lot of pressure on Toyota because their 5 Le Mans wins have come during a period where they were the only contenders besides privateer efforts.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now all these manufacturers are coming in. Like they haven't won since all these manufacturers have come in. So I think that's putting a lot of pressure on them to finally win one. To
yeah.
like prove that they can win. Because
Oh, yeah,
there's
definitely.
like to some people there's going to be an asterisk next to their sort of few of their wins. It's like, oh, they never won against proper competition. And now this is 2 years in a row where they've spun themselves out of the win.
Yeah, it's
Now
mental, really.
the next thing for you, the debate is for all of Ferrari's penalties. What do you think?
Ooh,
Firstly, with the number 50, number 50's unsafe release and not
yeah.
being able to close the door, followed by the number 51 punting the number 8. What do you think?
I mean, you're punting like if you're gonna punt a car, that's fair enough. You're gonna get penalised, aren't
Yeah, but the 5 second penalty for it, was it? What do you think?
you? I mean, only 5 seconds of the race like that, though, it could be. If you're gonna like, it's a hard one to call, really, isn't it? because it's
Yeah,
like,
I think that definitely should have had a stronger penalty.
yeah, that's what I mean. Because 5 seconds in a race that distance is nothing.
Because
Like
otherwise,
really, if you think about it,
the number eight, I think, could have won.
it probably would have
But
won.
they ended up losing like 50 seconds and, well, a load of places.
Yeah,
So I think that penalty should have been more severe. Why, with the unsafe release, I think it was fine
yeah,
because, he didn't turn into the path of the LMP. He kind of ducked out the way.
yeah. If
It
you would
wasn't
have,
like it wasn't like the first incident earlier on. Where you could see like I think it was a Cadillac stomp on the brakes.
yeah, exactly. If you would have had to take like proper like emergency avoiding action or actually fully got in the way of the car, then I definitely would have been a bit harsher. But I think the way it was done was all right. It was fair, I'd say.
Yeah, so I think the race by the wrong people will be remembered. People will be insisting on, oh, the Ferrari, they paid the FIA, which
Yeah,
I would say to it is you can't rig a 24-hour race.
no, it's
Like,
literally
no matter
impossible to.
what you say, it's physically impossible to rig a 24-hour race.
Yeah, and I
So
think,
I think those people are just bitter.
yeah, and it's like you said, it's one of them things that's annoying because it was such a great race. Yet you're gonna have people who are just going to remember it for the fact of that. Then they're gonna forget how much of a good race it is, but just say that, oh, this happened because of this, or it was a bad race because they rigged it. When in reality, it is, it doesn't really matter about that. It is the racing at the end of the day that you go to watch, and at the end of the day, I don't know whether you agree, but we did get some fantastic racing.
Oh, well, there's no way to disagree. Le
No,
Mans is easily Le Mans and Indy are the two best races on the planet. I will
well,
stand by that they are the most impressive races on the planet.
that was my first Le Mans, so I reckon the next one is to watch my first Indy, which will come around next year again, won't it?
Yeah, I've only done two Le Mans up until this point, and we're gonna have a conversation about this about the Triple Crown, and I've watched many Indies, but we'll have that another time.
Yeah,
But how would you rate this Le Mans out of 10?
I give it a solid 7. I reckon
A solid 7. I would say in terms of racing in general, I
a
think it's
seven
a
or
10.
eight.
I think it's a 10.
Fairs a
I
10.
would say I think last year's may have been a bit better, but overall, Le Mans is one of the best races on the planet. It's so much more exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, thinking about it though as well, it was like we had 9 cars on the lead lap at
That's
the end of the
incredible to
race.
me. Like the
It is.
entire history of Le Mans, only
That's the
two
first
cars have
time that's
ever finished
happened.
on the lead lap. It's the fact that like the record wasn't just beaten, it was demolished.
Yeah,
Like
that is definitely something special and something that should be remembered about it.
I think I was anticipating, maybe like maybe 3 or 4 cars finish on the lead lap. But then
Yeah,
to have 9 there, I know it was helped
9.
by the safety car and everything,
Yeah,
but
but
that's
you just
9
think,
cars which didn't break down, didn't have massive accidents.
yeah, it's like just think if you think about it as well, right? If you have if let's say there was like a very late race safety car, that could have been a 9-way battle for the lead.
Yeah.
Like that would have been mental.
And like I said, if that rain didn't hit, it was very possible there was 7 cars in chance. I think the Jotas kind of dropped out towards the end, but the top 7 were all very much still in it. But for the championship, for what it means now is it means that 4 races left, but manufacturers, the top 3 are all fighting for it. The Porsche, the Ferrari, and Toyota.
Yeah, definitely.
Every other spot's up for grabs, and I think in the drivers, it's now the number 6 Porsche, the number 50 Ferrari and the number 7 Toyota, which are all dueling it out for the overall title.
It is looking very exciting and interesting, to be fair. And it's and for me, my takeaway from like the weekend is that was my first time watching Le Mans and first time watching wet. So I think that's definitely been a big like. It is very good racing, to be fair. It is a good little series. I do enjoy it.
And I won't call it little. I call it massive.
No,
It's
yeah,
the
I wouldn't really
best
call it little.
goated series. But
That
I
was very
think to think next year, on top of all of this, there's going to be Aston Martin in as well.
Yeah, and isn't there like some kind of rule coming in where each team's got to run at least 2 cars?
Yeah, the 2-car manufacturer rule, which Aston Martin have already committed to, and I think Cadillac are making the switch over to have Jota run the Cadillac, so they're already committing to.
Yeah.
So now it'll be more of a proper championship because everyone will have to. Well, yeah, everyone's on like an even footing.
Yeah. It's it is definitely looking. It's looking good. It's looking exciting. It's just a shame that people kind of nowadays will look past the racing and look to more like the political side, if you call it that. It's not
Yes,
political,
and
but
I will stand by those people are stupid. But I think this race is definitely with like the expansion now. It's proven to people like even the junior series, that there is now like a proper alternative to single seaters.
yeah, because definitely single seated. If you ask a kid like nowadays, like a kid in karting, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? Oh, Formula One. Whereas now, if you say expansions like this, it's looking good. It's looking big. The future's looking bright. I think for motorsports, it's definitely looking like a wider range. No,
Yeah, finally some. Well, the options are coming back to us.
definitely.
But I think that's it for Le Mans.
That is it for Le Mans.
For our
Little
half an hour
debrief.
roundup. For a half an hour debrief.
All things speed and sport.
Harvey and Lewis on Vibe Radio.